Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Kevin McCarthy's ouster as Speaker of the House, the first time it has happened in U.S. history. All right, point number one, live by the sword, die by the sword. So, in order to get the speakership in the first place, McCarthy made all kinds of concessions to the far right MAGA crowd, the most extreme folks in the caucus who really are not interested in governing, but in just sort of taking a sledgehammer to government. And that came back completely to demolish him today. The one among them, Matt Gaetz, made the move. And what was the big sin that they were turning on McCarthy for? It was his actual efforts to negotiate with the Democrats in the White House, horror of all horrors, in order to keep the government from closing down. In the last minute, after step after step was unsuccessful, McCarthy realizing that at least his own speakership and the country's financial health, if indeed he cared about that, was in grave peril, made a deal that involved the White House, and this infuriated the MAGA right. And as part of the original deal that secured the speakership for McCarthy after some 15 votes, McCarthy had fatally weakened it by giving the power to any single member to move to oust him. And of course, everyone understood that empowered the far right MAGA wing, and it came back to bite him today when Matt Gaetz made the move yesterday to oust him. And Gaetz's brief with McCarthy, somewhat ironic for a member who's hardly a model of probity and honesty, is that McCarthy couldn't be trusted, said Gaetz, because he had basically dealt with the Democrats and the White House in order to avert a catastrophic shutdown. And said Gaetz, they had even, horror of horrors, discussed the possibility of renewed funding for Ukraine, which the MAGA splintered far right contingent of 10 or so bitterly opposes. All right, so point one, live by the sword, die by the sword. Point two, did McCarthy, to enlist the help of Democrats. The final vote, 216 to 210, represented some 8 or so defections from Republicans and then the Democrats. They could have saved him. They decided not to, and it's hard to blame them. McCarthy, as recently as this Sunday, blamed the shutdown on the Democrats. He's previously been very much a hard right antagonist to Democrats when the political needs have suited him, including in the impeachment and other kinds of procedural votes. And so it was a long shot to hope that the Democrats would save him, and indeed they didn't. Point three, what happens now? We've been living under extreme sort of chaos and tyranny because of the disproportionate power of the MAGA right, who are interested basically in shutting the government down and stripping Ukraine of power and doing all kinds of things to aggrandize themselves without regard to the role of government to actually help people. And now, possibly, these 10 have outsized power to choose the next speaker, but we don't know who that could be. There's a speaker pro tem who's just a kind of a placeholder, but now the Dems, and because it's the whole House that votes, the Dems and the Republicans separately caucus and see what they'll choose and who they'll choose. In the meantime, the House is headless, and for all the chaos and mess that they visited on us the last few years, and especially the last several months of McCarthy's tenure and stewardship, it's now even worse. So this, again, unprecedented. There was only one previous effort even to attempt to oust a speaker some 100 years ago. It failed. McCarthy now gets the dubious distinction of being the only speaker ousted, but he brings it on himself with terms of power that he was so eager to wrest the gavel, and a lifetime ambition on his part, that he agreed to take it in a fatally weakened posture with a extremely narrow division of parties and the balance of power by these nutwings on his right who aren't even seeking to govern, whose great sin perpetrated by McCarthy was even dealing with Democrats to try to keep the government funded. So for all the chaos and clown show that the Republican House caucus has been, now it's even worse. The circus has come to town and now completely stalled, and we literally don't know what happens next. Whether a different contingent will exercise critical power, what role the Democrats will have, what will be the implication of a House until there is a speaker that in many ways can't go forward. It is a historic mess brought to you by Kevin McCarthy and the Republican caucus. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.